Pluck up your courage, my little night hens. Tonight's yolk is blood red. This is the Crimson Bride, spirit number 7 of the hollow moon. She was once a blushing bride-to-be, but when love betrayed her, her vows curdled into venom. Now, she doesn't walk down the aisle, she drags you to the grave. Before I feather into the horror, a quick cackle about the haunted hatchery. You've heard me crow about it before. It's where fear hatches into fashion. If you want the kind of chills that follow you into the dark, peck your way over there. All right, flock. Let's spread our wings and bleed into this tale. The story of Eleanor Marrow began with joy. She was 23, the beloved daughter of a wealthy family, and her wedding promised to be the most celebrated event the town had seen in decades. Eleanor was admired for her beauty, her kindness, and her devotion to her fans, Charles Wren. But Charles was a man cloaked in charm and shadow. Whispers followed him: debts, gambling, reckless nights in taverns. Many warned Eleanor that he loved her dowry more than he loved her, but she ignored them all. She believed love could smooth over flaws. The wedding was held on a stormy night in the Marrow estate. The ballroom glowed with hundreds of candles, their flames fighting against the rattling thunder outside. The violinists played sweetly while the guests drank and laughed. Eleanor entered in her ivory gown, the lace hand sewn by her mother. When she raised her glass to toast her future, her smile was the brightest light in the room. But then the room fell silent. She coughed once, twice, then clutched her throat. Her veins swelled like black ropes beneath her pale skin. Foam bubbled at her lips. The guests screamed as Eleanor collapsed to the floor, her fingers clawing at her own chest. Her final words, gasped through blood, were, "Why, Charles?" She died before her family's eyes. And though Charles wailed with grief, those close enough swore his hands shook too much, as though the guilt already weighed on him. No one saw where the spilled wine went. They only noticed later that the wooden floorboards seemed darker, as though something had seeped deep inside. The Marrow estate never recovered. Servants whispered of footsteps echoing in the bridal suite long after it was locked. A trail of red spots appeared down the hallway leading to the altar, though no one dared wipe them away. Sometimes, blood dripped from the chandelier despite there being no pipes above it. The butler, loyal until the end, refused to abandon the house, but was later found dead in his quarters. His eyes and nose had bled out entirely. The note clenched in his stiff hand read only, "She kissed me goodnight." Her lips burned. From then on, the townspeople called the place the Bleeding House. Children dared one another to touch the iron gates. Many came away with nosebleeds that lasted hours. A priest once attempted to bless the grounds, only for the chalice in his hands to curdle into black sludge. He vomited blood for 3 days and swore never to return. Brides from neighboring towns reported seeing a pale woman in a tattered, blood-stained gown watching from the tree line. Some called off their engagements after dreaming of her night after night, waking with bruises around their necks as if a veil had been pulled tight. By the turn of the 20th century, the Marrow family abandoned not just the house, but the very name. They scattered, changed identities, did everything to escape the curse. Yet still, the legend lingered. Over a century later, in 2019, Natalie and Aaron Cooper bought what was left of the estate. They were young, ambitious, and believed they could restore the ruins into a Gothic-style wedding venue. Natalie adored the romance of the house, the tragic story of the bride. Aaron saw dollar signs in the growing market for dark, moody weddings. Together, they believed they could turn the curse into a brand. The first weeks were uneventful until Natalie pricked her finger while painting. A single drop of blood struck the old wood and spread wider than it should have, as though the floorboards drank it eagerly. That night, she dreamed of her own wedding. She walked the aisle toward a faceless groom. When he lifted the veil, blood poured down her dress until she drowned in it. She awoke screaming, her hand still bleeding though she'd bandaged it hours earlier. Soon, the strange happenings grew bolder. Aaron woke to find their bedsheets spotted with blood, though neither was injured. Their dog whined outside the bridal suite and refused to step foot inside again. Hackles raised as though something waited on the other side. Guests who visited the house for early tours fell ill. One bridesmaid to be suffered a nosebleed so violent she was rushed to the hospital. The photographer who came to take promotional shots discovered something horrifying. When he developed the images, there was always a figure in the background. A woman in a ruined gown, her veil torn, her mouth wide in a scream. Desperate, the Coopers invited a priest. He collapsed in the foyer before even opening his prayer book, muttering through clenched teeth, "She's in the walls." They turned to a historian who advised them to exhume Eleanor's grave. But when they opened the coffin, it was empty. The soil smelled of iron and rot. Natalie grew weaker by the day. Doctors couldn't explain her sudden anemia. They attempted a transfusion, but the blood in her IV turned thick and black as tar. Aaron begged her to leave, but Natalie refused. She said the house whispered to her at night, promising her a perfect wedding. One evening, Aaron awoke to the sound of church bells. He ran downstairs to find the house glowing with phantom light. The reception hall was filled with spectral guests, their faces pale and blank. Natalie stood at the altar in a dress that wasn't hers, her eyes hollow, her lips whispering vows. The floor split open beneath Aaron's feet, and arms of blackened blood erupted, gripping him like chains. Natalie's voice deepened, Eleanor's words spilling from her throat. "Say, I do." Aaron's veins turned black as he screamed her name. His skin blistered, bursting with blood that spilled across the floorboards. The candles flared, then all went dark. By morning, the Coopers were gone. Neighbors who had heard music and screams all night reported only silence now. When police entered, they found streaks of blood leading from the altar to the front door, and nothing more. The house went on the market again, but real estate agents fainted during tours. One woke with the word "betrayed" carved in raw welts into her arm. Paramedics who responded to a later incident reported their own IV bags blackening in the ambulance before their eyes. And still, in towns miles away, brides wake screaming after dreaming of a pale figure in crimson lace waiting at their altar. The truth is this: Eleanor no longer haunts only her estate. Those who enter leave with her curse inside them. Doctors speak in hushed tones about patients whose veins turned dark, their blood curdling for no reason. Each one had been inside the Marrow estate. The Crimson Bride no longer waits for vows. She is in the bloodstream of anyone unlucky enough to feel her touch. And once she's inside you, she never leaves. So, flock, if your blood ran cold during this tale, check your veins tonight. If they're a little too dark, you might already be betrothed to her. Stay perched, because spirit number 8 is nearly here, and unlike the Crimson Bride, the next one doesn't just bleed you. It burns you alive.